Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Rotary Gateway Thursday noon meeting. I got 2 more to go. And in case you're wondering, yes, I know I have one earring on. After 50 years, my left ear has decided it no longer wishes to wear earrings. So that's where we are. Thank you, Amanda, for being a greeter. Pledge and Jorge, come on up, Pat. Join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the 4-way pledge of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will be beneficial to all concerned. Thank you, Pat. Inspiration. Deb, I mean, come on up.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I have a little summer story for our inspiration. If a swimmer is crossing a Great Lake and suddenly focused too heavily on the distance remaining, they might start to flounder and wonder, not because they couldn't swim, because they became overwhelmed by panic. Panic, not the task, is the enemy. Many of us have moments where we feel crowded, chaotic, overwhelmed. And when that happens, it's sometimes difficult to look forward and envision any project that we're working on. It's normal when we look ahead at what needs to be done to have moments of panic, feel the fear and let it go. Take our eyes off of the future and the enormity of the task. If we have envisioned the goal, it will be ours. We do not have to do everything today or all at once. Panic will stop this process. Trust and guided action will further it. Breathe deeply, get peaceful, trust, act as guided today. We can get back on track by treading water until we regain composure. Once we feel peaceful, we can begin swimming again with confidence. Keep the focus simple, on one stroke at a time. If we make one movement, we've progressed. If we get tired, we can float, but only if we're relaxed. Before we know it, we shall reach the shore. As Melody Beattie said in her book, But Told Then and No More, few situations, no matter how greatly they appear to demand, can be bettered by going berserk.
Thank you, Deb. And we have our final service above self award today. I'll ask Lisa Lumi to come up and introduce our person who's from representing the Boys and Girls Club.
Good afternoon. Today it's my pleasure to present the last Student Service Above Self Award for the 2024-2025 Rotary school year. Over the past 20 years plus, we have awarded 140 students from 7 local high schools. We have endeavored to promote and encourage these students to continue their service focus into the future. This year, we've been able to add a student from the Boys and Girls Club to our program. Our group, as well as several individuals, have generously contributed to our gift package. I'd like to take a moment just to acknowledge these members. We have Jody McDonald from Banner Bank, Don Jones and Christina Dodd from Century 21, Steve Roe from Roe Motors, Carla Robertson from Robco, Sally Snyder from RCC, Jim Huber, Debbie Brownell, Tommy Drake, Deb Amin, Don Welch, Greg Fishwick and Margaret Bradford, Gina Marie Augusta, Doug and Bev Walker. Their continued support has made our award the best ever, and I want to thank them all. Now, for the big award. Now, from the Boys and Girls Club, we're going to have our student, which is I love his name, Maximilian Fitzgerald. And he's going to be introduced by Alex Wynn, the high school coordinator.
Hi, I'm Alex Wynn. I'm the high school coordinator for the Grants Pass Boys and Girls Club. I'm here to represent Maximilian Fitzgerald. He has shown outstanding leadership at our Boys and Girls Club, competing in our Youth of the Year, putting himself out there and taking time to write a speech that represented the club and how he felt, how he's transitioned as a person and grown with his time with the Boys and Girls Club. So welcome up Maximilian Fitzgerald.
Well, hope you're all doing well today. I thank you all for the opportunity to speak. So I'm Maximilian Fitzgerald, the Youth of the Year at the Boys and Girls Club. And as Alex mentioned, I had to go and write a speech and present it to a room full of people. There was a lot more people in that room than here. And I also did not write a speech for this, so freestyling here. So oh yeah, can you guys hear me better now?
Yeah.
Right, cool, great, thanks. So I'm a student of Grants Pass High School. I've always had a GPA of 4.0 or above. I'm involved in track and field, although I'm only average at that, to be honest. I do distance running. And yes, the reason why I was selected to be here and speak today is because of my involvement in the Boys Girls Club. As I mentioned, I am the club's Youth of the Year currently. And while I'm here, all I've done is just try to be an example for others. Because when I first began to attend the club, I was honestly a wreck. I was a fourth grader. I had really bad behavioral issues. I'm autistic. And the club helped shape me into a respectable person who's able to function, who's able to be there and just be a shining light, right? And I'm really thankful for that. And any chance I get, I like to speak in favor of the club. Right now, for example, I try to emulate what the club did for me by helping other club members achieve the best that they can possibly be. There's many middle schoolers at the club who are kind of misguided in some ways, and I try to be a role model for them. I'm always very kind and patient towards middle schoolers, just as the club was patient towards me. Because I think giving someone that tiny bit of mercy of just seeing them eye to eye, just being able to understand them, understand their struggles, understand what they're going through, and be able to help them. And just let them see what's so great about themselves. I think it's a special thing, you know? I just try to be a great person so others can feel appreciated. And thank you all very much for allowing me to speak today again.
Question about your future plans, Maximilian. What's
Yeah.
next?
Future plans. So as far as like careers are concerned, I want to go either into writing. I very much love the artistry of writing, or astrophysics. Actually, no, we're very different career fields, but I want both. I think they're both very fascinating.
Can you tell us what some of you've been at Boys and Girls Club for a long time, so you said fourth grade, is that what you said?
Fourth grade, yes.
Yeah, so can you tell us something there that was either really fun or meaningful for you that you did?
Fun or meaningful? Well, an obvious answer there is being the Youth of the Year. It was a very stressful experience, but it was also great. And it really helped me. It helped me see within myself my ability to do public speaking. When I presented my speech, I felt confident doing it. Granted, I did spend literally months memorizing it to the point where I could rehearse it on a dime without even thinking. But still, I never thought I could do something like that even. Didn't break down, and there was hundreds of people staring at me.
There's a check for $750. Lots of gift cards, gift certificates, and goodies in here. Yeah. You're not right.
Oh, why not? Yeah. Once again, thank you all so much for everything. I appreciate you all so much.
Wow, congratulations, Max. And is that Max's mom over there? Congratulations to you too. Good job. Okay, let's see if we have any announcements. Anybody want to just line up over here? And I asked Doug if we're all set for Porch Fest, and he said, I don't know. And I thought, well, that's perfect. That's exactly how we're all feeling. We know the weather's gonna be good and we almost always have a good time. So come on up.
I have 8 tickets left. On your tables, there's little flyers for the free shred event that Bannerbank is doing on 7th Street. It'll be on Friday, August 2nd, or me, I'm lying to you, Friday, August 8th. We changed our date. So anyhow, please make sure if you would like, come and bring your shredded items to be shred. You can have 3 bags, 3 boxes. It's totally free. It's something we do every year to be able to help the community. So if you need a flyer, I have more at my desk. Can you tell I feel like I'm at work still? I have more at my table. Thank you.
She also does loans at her desk over there too, if you need money. So Porch Fest is this Saturday. Hope to see you all there. We do need bodies for selling raffle tickets. That's our bulk of what we do as volunteers there. We have the high school students and Project Youth Plus that staff the street barricades, so we don't have to put ourselves there. But do please show up and help with that. I'll get there about 8:30 or so, and we start to slowly set up. It's not a giant rush, but if I have 3 or 4 people there at about 8:30, that'd be great. I don't know if I gotta see a show of hands of people that are willing to be there at 8:30, so that's plenty. Perfect. The other thing I do need is 1 or 2 more folding tables or, easy to use tables out there. If somebody has those, that would be great. Steve, I think we might have borrowed 1 or 2 from you in the past. Greg, you've got one? You got one, Steve? And so if Steve brings one, Greg brings one, that's plenty. I've got 3. We just maybe need 2 more and that's plenty. It looks like the weather's gonna be good, so no need for any extra pop-ups. We have 4 for our area, the club's area. And then the next need will be just bodies there to do things. I think we've got it all under control and everything's going really well. We'll see. 9:30-ish, maybe 9-ish. The high school groups show up, the barricade staffing people show up about 9:30, and that's a big load of people to talk to. And then from 9:30 to 9:45, I gotta tell them, give them instructions. So either right before that or 10 o'clock after that would be great. And then clean up at 3:30. We officially close the streets roughly 10:30-ish. And then the bands play at 11. So there's some in-between time there. And then we open the streets up, back up at 3:20-ish, when it looks like enough people have dispersed and it feels like there's most of the activities going, then we open up. One thing to remember is, and this is always a conflict, don't park in the event area. And so somebody says, okay, fine, but what's the event area? There's some of us here that have been doing this for 7 years and still don't, still are not certain what that is. So it's 4th Street, Washington and Lawn Ridge. And then also Evelyn and Manzanita in between. So don't park on Evelyn and Manzanita because we have bands playing on Manzanita. We have 2 bands there, so please don't park there. The best place to park is at Hawthorne, which is 1 block over from Lawn Ridge, or on 5th, which is east towards 6th Street in that direction. That's another one. And then there used to be the city parking lots, but they're full of the homeless shelter stuff right now. So we don't have parking there. But that's really about it. Thanks. Oh, and bring yourselves chairs for your keisters. It's always good to sit down.
You're amazing, Doug. I was really thrilled at seeing all the Facebook barrage of bands that are and types of music playing and all the likes that are coming from wherever. And I'm sure a lot of them are from this room. So nice work, because that's what keeps it rolling. we can't have enough fun, can we? So we're gonna have a social the last Thursday of the month, the 26th. We'll be at the Weekend Brewery. And it'll be at 5:30, and we're going to be toasting she's not our hostess with the mostest, I guess our Queen Grand Poobah President Judy. So be there and celebrate with us to say thank you to her. And thank you to Steve Roe for providing the gift certificate to give us support to help this happen. So it's no money out of the coffers. That's what she said. Don't spend any money on me. So that's it. Thank you.
Well, let me be more clear, don't spend any money on me, but spend money at Weekend Brewery. I have 3 quick announcements. Remember early on, I was interested in the utility boxes downtown and we filed a grant request and we didn't get it, and that was unfortunate, but I'm happy to report that through our club and through a grant that I wrote, that took me 5 minutes, that somebody was too busy to do. We have $5,000, which we have given to the city for 5 more utility boxes. And you should see those in the next 3 to 6 months. So that's exciting. That's a win. And I'm on Facebook with a whole bunch of you. And if you didn't see, this was an interesting phenomenon. You know, in the 60s in this area, a lot of times you hung around by religion or by school. And they're all the big Catholic families hung together. And so the Baskers were one and the Krauses were another. And so the Salisburys were one of them too. And it happened that, you know, John Salisbury, who was in kindergarten with me, lives here now and he's a lawyer. And then his sister Jane lives in Portland and his brother Lee lives in Pasadena area, also a lawyer. And for reasons I'm not clear on, they all showed up not for Porch Fest, but this week. And so we made a plan to all get together for dinner, and it was really funny because we're all like, "Oh, Judy, you did such a great party. All I did was make the reservation." But anyway, so we did that a couple nights ago, and it was so fun because the elder graduated high school in 1969, and that's the last time I have seen him. And so it was kind of fun to see him with his wife and kids, and you know, and now, of course, they don't know this, but I'm gonna ask them all to donate next year. So they did a $3,000 sponsorship for their childhood home, which is right on Washington Boulevard. So that was just cool, and I wanted to share that with you because it was fun. I gave every one of them a t-shirt as well. Okay, at the Weekend Brewery, I guess I don't have anything to say about that, but I hope you all come and have fun, and you can make fun of me, that's okay. All right, who's next? Our program. Kelly, come on up. She's going to introduce our program today, which is on our literacy program. I love your shirt. And that's what you should call me, the Grand Peacock. Right?
All right.
I'm never comfortable with this.
Okay. So, I think you'd all agree if I said to you that language is probably one of the most important accomplishments of mankind, womankind. Do you agree? Without language, it would be difficult. Being able to communicate through speech and writing, which came much later, enabled us to keep growing. And I don't mean in height, I mean in brain power. When we think about those skills, we have to remember that not all kids, especially, well, it goes on, but I would say you recognize this from probably 3-4 years old on. They don't learn at the same pace. That's a given. And that's where we come in. And we are the Rogue Gateway Literacy Group. A group of volunteers that listen to children read and even do early math concepts once a week, usually for about 30-45 minutes in the Grants Pass Elementary Schools. So we consider it, we that are tutors, a privilege to do these extra one-on-ones with these students who don't have an opportunity to do this usually at home. Parents maybe are at work. Parents maybe don't have the skills themselves. Many of the parents that we see could be ELL, English as, or ESL, English as a second language learners themselves, or math especially, where those of us that have our teachers and retired teachers, many of us, realize math concepts have changed a lot, and parents are uncomfortable often unless they are given that tutoring themselves. So we reinforce the concepts. We help them acquire the ability to sound out words. We help them to open up their worlds. It really does. We also have to consider those, especially I do, because I worked with those students that don't work struggling to learn. They work struggling because they're bored to death. They read or do math or both at a higher level. So we need to keep those students working at a pace that is more acceptable and exciting for them to continue to want to learn. So it is our hope that you're going to be inspired by those of us that have been tutors in the last few years. And I'm going to say, for quite a while now. It started during COVID. And if you read the Navigator, I wrote a piece in the Navigator about how it all began, and it did begin during COVID. And originally at that time, Jorge Padilla, who is an ESL specialist in the school district, and I collaborated because he really needed help. And everything was done on Zoom. And this then matured into what we have now as our literacy program. I'm going to let the different tutors, volunteers talk about their experiences. And then I'll tell you mine in the school that I work in. And then I'm going to tell you how you could get involved. And I hope some of you will be inspired to do so. I'm going to start with Lisa Higgins, who can't be here today because she's doing grandmother duty. Her granddaughter had to have her tonsils and adenoids out and also have plugs put in her ears, the poor thing. So she says, I had the opportunity to read with first graders at Highland Elementary School. Their teacher was always well prepared and generally had me reviewing the morning reading group work to reinforce the skills that they learned. At the most, I worked with 6 children with similar reading abilities. It was enjoyable because they were feeling pretty special, that they were the only ones I worked with. As the year progressed, it was very rewarding to see fluency, comprehension improve, and enthusiasm. That never waned. I find reading with kids very rewarding and wonder sometimes if it isn't a toss-up as to who's getting more out of it, them or her. As a retired elementary teacher, I know that all beginning readers need lots of reinforcement and lots of encouragement, and that is what the literacy group is all about. And now I'm going to pass the mic to some tutors to let them tell you their story. Bev, where are you, Bev? She's going to kick it off.
Okay, like Lisa Higgins said, we get more out of it, I think, than the kids do, but the one-on-one with kids is pretty amazing. So I hang out with the first graders from a certain class for the last, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. They haven't been in the class for that long, but the same teacher. The same teacher, was my kid's teacher and, and then she retired and then the next two share a classroom and they call it Sparkletown, a very fitting name, and they gave me a yearbook. I think this is the first year they made a yearbook. Debbie's mentioned in the back there, and me as being longtime volunteers. Debbie Brownell. I know you said like some people can volunteer an hour. I think I do 2.5 hours a week, and I think Debbie probably does, I don't know, a lot more. But anyway, I wanted to read the class mottos. This is their lessons to the first graders and their mottos, but they're good for all of us adults. Class mottos: we've got grit, we don't quit. If we don't get picked for something, maybe next time. Go with the flow. This one is really good for government or people talking in front of the government. Be a problem solver, not a problem pointer outer. Kindness only kindness. Perfect is boring. What do we say if someone messes up? You're still cool. Do your best, commit the rest. Who do you worry about? Myself. Always okay not to know, not okay not to try. Whatever the class is doing, that is what I'm doing. This is a good one. Absolutely no drama. Thinking the best of my friends, and remember, it's not Friday, it's Friday. The kindness pledge: I pledge to myself on this very day to try to be kind in every way. To every person, big or small, I will help them if they fall. When I love myself and others too, that is the best that I can do. So the kids, I sit out with them in the hallway, one at a time, and I spend about 15-20 minutes, depending on how distracted we get, with each kid, and it's fun. Thank you. Steve.
Thank you. So I read with the K9 Reading Buddies, and I read at Lincoln Elementary. And seeing as how my wife Christy is here, and she's a teacher at Allendale Elementary, I kind of feel like driving a Ford when I go there. I don't know what that means or something like that. But at the same time, there's a group of about 6 of us. And so I kind of read with Rotary, obviously under their spirit there, but also with the K9 Reading Buddies. And these are at the local library. And there's usually about 6 dogs that come in to read with the students. They're all 2nd grade students. We read for 1 hour, 20 minutes at a time, and they come from all 3 classes. And they read them, and they come with different levels. Sometimes they can read really, really well, and sometimes you have to actually read with them or help them with the words along the way. But at the end of the experience, they all come away feeling good about it. And I think having hope with me is a special weapon as far as because I don't want to sound like bragging or anything, but usually there's 2 or 3 kids that want to read with hope. I know it's not me they want to read with, but they want to read with hope. But I want to tell a story that happened last month. To give you an example, it has nothing to do with reading, it has everything to do with reading. And what happened was there were 2 boys that came in, these 2nd graders, and I says, which one of you are going to read with hope? Because you can only read one at a time. And they said, well, my friend, he actually speaks 2 languages, but he's afraid of dogs. And I says, okay, I says, let's do it then. And so the first boy read, and the one that didn't like dogs says, would you like to pet Hope? And it was a definite no. And so I says, let's read. And we read for a while and that type of thing. And as we done, I says, would you like to pet Hope? And we went like this. And but it was, you could just tell there was a lot of hesitancy along the way. And he became more comfortable, and then pretty soon I said, would you like to hold him? And he said, yes. And I thought that was a major thing. So like I said, that experience had nothing to do with reading, but I like to think that there's probably nothing wrong with that young man, but there's something happened to him. And hopefully in that time, with hope, that he became a little bit more comfortable in that experience, and he's more, less afraid of dogs.
Thank you. Debbie B, where are you? Debbie Brownell. Oh.
Myself with Debbie.
So,
And also had at Parkside. And so after COVID, I was thinking, it really is fun to work with these adorable little children. And I happened to see Karen, and so we arranged for me to work in the classroom. But trying to think of a story that, and then this year, Bev has worked at that classroom for, as she said, 10, 15 years. But she said the other first grade teacher doesn't have anybody. And I go, oh. So that's how I ended up working for 2 first grade classes. But thinking about a story to present, there's some, they're all adorable. They truly are amazing little people. But there are a couple especially that know that they're adorable. And I can just tell that they get away with a lot more than they should because they are so adorable. And it's always a balance for me trying to figure out how authoritarian can I be when they're trying to wiggle out of doing what they're supposed to be doing. And what I think I bring as a volunteer is not only time, the teachers do an outstanding job of presenting information and working with them in a classroom and in small groups, but they cannot work one-on-one with these students the way a volunteer can. And so there is one adorable young man who, they've got a test on sight words or irregular words, words that don't follow necessarily the rules of English grammar and phonetics, and they have to really memorize them. And, this young lad goes, I can't do this, this is way too many words and blah, blah, blah. And I go, we're just gonna do one word at a time. And he's trying to negotiate with me. Well, I'll do 3 words. We're gonna do one word at a time and focus on it. And he tried every trick in the book, So Bev happened to be in the hallway with the other class, and I'm a student, and I was in this other class, and I swear she was gonna roll on the floor laughing. As this little boy is going over here, over there, saying this, saying that, and I would just keep plowing through and one word at a time, and we made it through that list, but but it was more than 15 minutes. Yes. Farron, who is on, can you hear me, Farron?
Hello, yes.
Are you unmuted?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
His experience.
I'm on
You're on.
All right. Reading is a skill,
Hold on a second.
often taken for granted.
You're being muted there.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Okay, can I hit,
Unstable.
let's do a sound check.
Uh,
Baron, hello?
Check, 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 check.
Oh,
Check.
yeah, it's not great. We can't hear you. It was
Cancel the check.
crazy.
Oh poo.
Can we hear you? Turn your, you could do it in sign language.
Okay, try.
All I see is you. Hear me?
Go ahead.
No? What?
It's lighting up, but we can't hear you.
Oh, well. Anyway. It's
There
okay.
we go.
Speak loudly, okay.
Okay. Reading is a skill often taken for granted. Like Forrest Gump, I grew up in a small town in Alabama. My parents grew up in the Depression.
It's the kid.
My father was illiterate. He could not read. He dropped out of third grade to go had to get a job. Okay.
Talk about
Kid, I'm gonna talk about the kids already. Okay, Cyrus was one kid I worked with for quite a while. He was a special person stuck on fast forward. I don't know what alphabet you hang on him, but he was a challenge to mainstream, and I was able to work with him to let him tell a story for a while and then look at the book, and we worked together, and I saw him improve in his reading skills, and I try to make reading fun for the students I work with. I don't always be the diligent teacher, but I help reading be fun, and it is fun for both of us, and a worthwhile goal to pursue the skill of reading.
Baron. Remember early on, Deb, you're up. Early on, I said, children don't work at the same pace, and don't learn at the same pace, but they're all not carbon copies also. What you'll end up with are situations like Farron was talking about. And what's great is that Farron is just right for that child. It's perfect. Yeah. Here's an aside, when I was still teaching, I worked with Tommy's sister at Lincoln Elementary School, and she was a very different teacher than I was, and that several were. She'd be the one that would be coming down the hall to my music class with baby chickens in her pockets. I am not kidding. And the children were supposed to be walking in a line. No. They would come dancing down the hallway, and I'm looking at her and I'm laughing and smiling and saying, you are needed. You are important. Some of these kids need this. So, yay. Deb.
Thanks. I have a couple of vignettes. I was with second graders at Redwood Elementary, and it was an interesting experience. We read in the hallway. We also practiced for the play that was going to be done at the end of the year, and we also transplanted strawberries out in the garden. It was a variety of activities with Laura Lee's little second graders. Couple of stories that were special and stay with me. One little girl was, I would work with the kids that were behind, and they needed to get to a certain reading level. And it was like, oh, by the end of this, they have to be ready. They have to be reading by the end of this grade. And so this little girl and I would start reading, and it wasn't long, I figured that she couldn't read. She would tap the book and she would pick up words in the book that she recognized and then look at the pictures and she'd tell me the story of what was going on based on the pictures that were there. And I would go back and ask, okay, well, what, you didn't, I think you missed this word. Oh, we don't need that word. Okay, and so, I'm like, okay, well, how about, maybe we should look at this word. Oh, let's just try it, you just do what you can and negotiate. And then I went and talked to the teacher afterwards and said, I don't think she can read. And she says, no, she can't. And I said, aren't there some special programs that she could maybe go into to help her? And she said, her parents don't trust her going into any other programs. They refuse to have any extra help. So we were it. The volunteers that were coming in, it gives me the chills because it was like, she certainly deserved somebody better than Grandma Debbie, but that we did it. And sure enough, by the end of the school year, she was reading. So it worked. And one of the little boys was really nervous about reading, and by the end of the year, he had a role in the class play. And he was up and he did, and the kids wanted me to come and watch them. And so I'm watching this kid and I'm thinking, oh, he's gonna go. He gets up and he in line and he said what he had to say and write in the right time. And afterwards he comes up to me and he wrapped his arm around me and says, I did it. Anyway, so yeah, lots of joy in both directions. My favorite was the very first day of school when the teacher said, oh, and Grandma Debbie's going to be with us today, and blah, 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 and telling the kids what I was going to do. And I came walking in the door, and they look at me and goes, oh my God, she's a real grandma.
Well, if I take that as an insult.
Okay, I took on a different role, but I will say two things. Number one, as a elementary school teacher who had lots of volunteers in my classroom, they mean so much to those kids. I mean, just, they light up when you walk in. I mean, you're just there. So and in the surveys that I have taken and read and gone through, that is one of the things, people who've worked in the literacy program and work with kids, they're touched because that's been has had a big influence on them. So I'm encouraged to continue to work and have a literacy program go. I will say, I took on a little bit of different projects just because I'm a math nerd. I was not a math nerd when I was in school. I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all. But later on, I went back to elementary school teaching and I was just like, oh, that's why we did that. That's why you did that. So I just really realized that, a lot of kids don't get math and they're scared of it. And you talk to a lot of people and they're scared of it. So I went in and I worked with the Title I teacher, and I thought I was going to go in 1 day a week, and it ended up 2 days a week, and then it was 3 days a week, and then it was 4 days a week, and I got Friday off. So I went in every morning and would take the kids that were struggling in math at 4th and 5th grade to try to kind of help them get a handle on place value. And I would bring in money, and we would talk about, I always had one of my nerdy things, and I was a nerdy teacher too, but the ones, tens, hundreds dance, ones, tens, hundreds, comma, ones, tens, hundreds, comma. So I just kind of tried to make it fun. Now, I don't know that if I did, because by the time you get to 4th and 5th grade, a lot of times you kind of have a chip on your shoulder, and you also, when your silly volunteer is doing these things, you're thinking, is this lady crazy? But I do think I did make a difference. And I do know that they look forward to seeing me. So, yeah, we did a lot of that stuff. And it's still my passion, because when you look at scores, we've got a crisis in math in our country. I mean, and I get it, because as a teacher of math, they did change the ball game halfway through. They don't teach it like they used to. I just happen to get it the way they teach it now. And I never got it when they teach it with just carry, cross out, do all that sort of stuff. It was just like, I never knew when the heck I was crossing out this, I'd cross them all out, and I just didn't get it. And so later on, it was just like, oh, that makes sense. And so then, and that it was an ability that I had, that I actually created a lot of math teachers in my day. And I pride myself in the fact that I did get a lot of people to love math because it wasn't this big scary thing. It was logical figuring out why you did those things. So I, unfortunately, with all my surgeries that I've had in the last 3 years, I didn't get to do that this next year, but last year. But I do look forward to it because it's one of those things, once you get in there and you work with those kids, you know, and you see them light up, and there are those challenges, trust me, but even those challenges, look forward to you coming back in again, because the teacher's just as frustrated with them, and it's a nice break for the teacher. So, yes.
Thank you, Val. So before I tell you how you can become part of our group of tutors, I want to explain real quickly what I did. I went to Highland and I worked with talented and gifted kids. Although in first grade, many of them weren't identified, but I had 2 that were obviously going to be working at least 2 grade levels above all the others. And having done that for many years in the district, I worked with talented and gifted as well as teaching music. I realized you're going to lose these kids if you don't do something soon, because they're just spinning their wheels, attitude-wise, emotionally, so on. So, as a great lover of children's literature, the first thing I do is bring in Chris Van Allsburg. And you all know who that is, because if you've watched Polar Express, that's Chris Van Allsburg. Jumanji, that's Chris Van Allsburg. An unbelievable artist and writer. And I would bring in with them, first my favorite book of his is called The Garden of Abdul Ghazazi. So if you've never seen it and read it, do. And I always read that with them, had them read. It was a way for me to ascertain how far above grade level they were. And it also was a way for me to introduce them to this author. Then the next book would be The Secret Papers of Harry Burdick, which has no narrative, but the pictures are awesome. And there would always be one line, and then you take it from there. So I had they each picked a picture, and then they got to write about that picture. We kind of made up the narrative. I helped them with words they couldn't spell, but I was working with them on their reading and writing skills. After that, and they really enjoyed that. After that, we started doing fairy tales. Talked to them about how do you start one? Once upon a time, or long, long ago. And so we went through variations of this. We did fairy tales. We looked at drawings. They finally were able to write their own fairy tale, which we presented to the class. And I taught them about adding voices. And what do you use an exclamation point for? And how are you going to change your voice? And so on. And so the one thing you can tell I had fun with this, but also when we did the presentation and we each did a part of this fairy tale, I was the grandmother, the wicked grandmother. We had to change our voices and so on. Afterwards, the class was all sitting on the rug in front of us. I cannot tell you how many of them said, "How can we join?" That's what you want. Because these kids realized they're having fun. They're doing things they don't normally do in our classroom and so on. Okay, how do you join? It's very easy. You can contact me and you can also contact any one of the people that just came up to speak. And also you just need to sign a volunteer form with the district. And once you do that, you will then, I will help you, or any one of our tutors can help you connect with the school, figure out what time, what grade level works for you, and so on. Questions? Any questions? Tommy?
Wait, questions? Yeah. There we go.
Oh, we're running out of time. Okay, so if you have questions, you
you just got cut off, Tommy. If you have questions, would you please see me afterwards?
So much, Kelly. And I want to thank Kelly for her passion and her incredible, she's so task oriented. She's just an incredible person. If you ask her to do something, she does it, as compared to some of the rest of us who forget and all that. So thank you, Kelly. It's a wonderful program. I tutored over at Redwood Elementary a few days. It was great. Okay, sergeants, come on up, Greg, and let's get some happy bucks.
Are you sold out?
Yeah. Thank you.
We're gonna use Happy Bucks with the Father's Day theme. And I've got one fun fact about a Father's Day TV or Father's TV show where the father is not presented as an incompetent, bumbling fool. And it was one of the first ones. Anybody can guess what the name of the TV series that was presented fathers in a nice way? Father Knows Best. Now, the fun fact I have for you about Father Knows Best is that the Anderson family house that was in that show was on the Warner Brothers lot in Burbank. And it was used 7 more times for other residents. Quick list. Prior to the use for Father Knows Best, it housed the Bumsteads. There was a series of movies that were Blondie movies. There were 28 Blondie movies made from 1938 to 1950. From 59 to 63, it was the home of Dennis the Menace's next door neighbor, Mr. Wilson. From 61 to 66, the Baxter family lived there with their live-in housekeeper who kept things in order. Her name was Hazel. From 64 to 72, Bewitched series star Elizabeth Montgomery played Samantha Stevens, a witch who couldn't help using her superpowers to rescue her husband Darren from various predicaments. In 65 to 66, widowed father Russell Lawrence tried to raise his teenage daughter, played by Sally Field, in the TV series Gidget. From 65 to 70, it was the home of a genie freed from a bottle, but found by Captain Tony Nelson, whom she eventually marries in the TV series I Dream of Jeannie. And finally, from 70 to 74, Shirley Jones starred as the widowed mother of the musical Partridge Family. So the house has been through many good iterations of family, and I'm hoping that there'll be some happy bucks that are related to Father's Day stories, if you'd like to, but obviously open to everyone. Who's first? Greg, another Greg.
So along with the stories we just heard, I'm going to show my dad. My dad was a science teacher and a math teacher. Actually taught everything, wood shop. He was at a small school, so anything but home ec was fair game. But he was an amazing mathematician. So I like math, I'm good at math, but it wasn't because of the teachers I had in school. I ignored it there, took it home, and dad was my tutor and showed me how to make math work. But as well, walking around the property, he was forever measurementry, applying trigonometry. You couldn't avoid it with him. So that's my happy buck.
So Andy has a mic.
So I want to add to the program a little bit, Happy Bucks. I volunteered at the 5th grade and 3rd grade and 4th grade at Parkside over the years. And I want to say that it's kind of obvious from what all of the people that talked about what they do is the joy in a 1st grader skipping down the hallway. It's just incredibly contagious. So if you want a happy day, just plan on being at school just for that. And the other thing I think that's really important is a lot of kids there, I don't know if lots is the right word, but enough kids there don't see very frequently functioning adults. And so when you're there, just standing next to the teacher, having a conversation about what you want to do, and you're just talking in a calm way, you know, that really carries a lot with those students. So if you could just go there and do something, doesn't matter what it is. I had the pleasure of doing science experiments with the 3rd and 4th graders for a number of years, and that was just a damn blast. It was so much fun. And now I do a variety of things in 5th grade classroom, and it's just great. And then a Father's Day story. So I had 4 fathers in my life. 3 of which weren't good people. No, actually 2 which weren't good people. Two were. So father number 3 was in my life my whole time, all of my life until he passed away. And so one day, I'm painting his house, right? And he's trying to let me be a contractor. I'm, I don't know, 19 or 20 or something, painting his house. And he's kind of obsessive compulsive about decorations and how people perceive him. And he's a little insecure. And so he really wants to make the house look just right colors. And I've painted this wall on the outside of the house twice with different colors, different slight shades of green. And I've got somebody there working with me. And again, I'm trying to be a contractor, be professional, and paint this house for him. And so we're on like the 3rd time. I'm painting a different colored shade of green that he wants on there. And it's like, I'm just getting mad as hell. And we're looking at this. It's like, okay, I said it's something to some effect. All right, Father, this is just, I'm getting tired of this, Father. And my dad looks like I think it was my friend, I'm trying to remember who it was, standing next to me, and my dad looks at him and he says, you know, when he says father like that, it really means asshole. And then I stopped being mad at that moment.
Thanks, Doug. I'll remember Bev, and then Allison's maybe got second helpings.
Well, I don't really have a Father's Day story, but I do think Doug is one of the best dads ever. And crying is contagious and so is joy. But anyway, I had happy books for Allison doing the Facebook page. It's an amazing job she's doing, and she does it without even, like, she just throws them out there. So it seems like easily for me because she does it so quick. But anyway, happy books for that. And then we went and saw Chris defend his dissertation. I didn't even know what this even means until I watched it happen. But it was on titled Creative Coercives Campaigning Against the USA's Deadly HIV/AIDS Status Quo. And the title was longer before that. But anyway, it was very good. And I think his dad has done a great job. And I have too. So very proud of him.
Okay. Allison has a mic and over here to tell.
So a mixture of Father's Day and literacy. So part of Calvin's bedtime routine is that we get into bed and he has 30 minutes of reading before we turn the light off. So we get into bed and we're always picking books, and he takes me to bed every single night. So my husband, his dad, was like, how about you take me tonight, buddy? And Calvin's response was, well, you don't read very good. It would take long. My husband went to Glendale, so I say it's the Glendale education. Another happy book though for Calvin. A lot of you know Calvin, and he's got a great personality, very rambunctious, and a lot of that comes from his ADHD. And he started some meds a couple of weeks ago, and it's been taking some time to fine tune it. But he told me the other day that for the first time, his brain is calm, and it was very sweet. So I'm happy for him.
Thank you.
So, I would like to say on the, literacy thing, I did it and I loved it. It was during COVID and I got to practice my Spanish. So, cause I had little kids that were, I didn't get to see them, but I got to see their houses and their rooms because of where the Zoom was. But, you know, it was great, these kids learning English, and we went through their workbooks and everything. So it's a really wonderful thing, whatever the reason is you're doing it. So, my dad was fabulous. He's just great, and I miss him every day, and I want him to come back so I can ask some questions about things going on now, because he saw things really very differently than I do. And we agreed long ago that we would still love each other no matter whether we agreed or not about stuff, so. Yeah.
So I just want to give a shout out to my dad because he loves to read, and growing up, he was always reading when he wasn't doing honey-do lists and things, but that's where I know I got my love for reading, and so happy Father's Day, Dad.
Thanks, Steve.
Have 5 happy bucks, and one is for the other greatest dad. Number 1 dad, our coffee cup collection has a lot of number 1 dads. You're an awesome dad, because his kids just love him. And I wanted to say that my dad didn't read to me so much as he sang to me. He sang cowboy songs. So Sons of the Pioneers, those were my bedtime songs. And then I have one other happy buck. That's for Allison, who granted Greg his wish today. He wanted to hear a Calvin story.
Mike's no waiting.
I have a happy buck for all of the great reading stories today. You guys are all so inspiring, but also because I didn't know Christy was gonna be here, and she's like the most passionate teacher on the face of the planet. And just so you guys know, tonight is Shining a Light on Hunger, the Food Bank Awards, and Christy is up for an award tonight, and I really hope she can award because she deserves to.
I have a happy Father's Day, happy buck. And literacy also. My dad was, we grew up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. He only went to school through the 8th grade. And then he went out and worked in lumber camps. His parents spoke Finnish, and he was in a Finnish community, so he didn't speak English. And the school that he was in was just an elementary school, and so they didn't make them speak English, and they worked their way through with the teacher also speaking Finnish. And I think about how in the world he was so amazing, because throughout his life, every day or every week, he got the Newsweek and he read the Newsweek cover to cover. He read the Wall Street Journal and what he gets, or not Wall Street Journal, Detroit Free Press. The Detroit News was way too soft for him. He wanted the Detroit Free Press. That was a serious newspaper. Popular Mechanics. He designed and built an A-frame cabin and had his neighbors come out and chop the trees down off our property, and they put it together and built it. To myself, you know, there's so much that we don't realize that of potential that people have. And if you can somehow open that door, somehow he did, or someone did. And it's a mystery to me, but I'm very grateful because I've learned a lot from him.
Thanks, Katie. Everybody? Let's get the cards. What's that? Well, I'm gonna have Lisa do it because it was her last day as a student service above self for the year, the school year, and she has done a really bang up job making that a good birthday. I just hope she can choose a card that's not hers. Eight of spades. Let's say pick the wrong first.
She win it. Well done, Lisa. Okay, thank you, Ray. Well, thank you, everyone. Wow, I'm sorry to go over a little bit. That was just an excellent program. I'm just reminded every time that I'm here what a warm collegial group this is, and thank you all for all that you do. That's all I can say. I will do one equivalent happy buck. My father's parents were both illiterate. I don't think they ever went to school at all. They were migrant minors. And my father graduated from college as valedictorian. So, and I remember my mother saying that my dad's mother asked my mother, oh, is that a good thing? You know, and so sometimes, you know, it's just the opportunity. And so thank you for providing opportunities to kids. Thought for the day, this is anonymous. My favorite childhood memory is having energy. See y'all next week.